Warning, this podcast contains spoilers. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the As Seen on TV podcast for The Originals, Season 4, Episode 2, No Quarter. I'm your host, Mike, and joining me is Dom and Nikki.
No quarter. Quarter never existed.
No quarter for you.
What quarter?
The French Quarter.
Never existed. They never owned it.
For you. So I have a question about this episode. Like, could they really not get the actors for Rebecca and Cole for the first episode, but they were able to get them for the second?
And they probably just didn't focus on it.
No,
I think it worked out way better having them here.
Exactly. The Rebecca and Cole didn't really have a place in the first bit of the story. It was basically them focused on the turmoil that has been brought upon New Orleans every time this time of year comes around, where Klaus disappeared with like Alistair and stuff, and it's still a power struggle for Marcel, even though he's the most powerful being out there.
Like, do we know how long ago that they were freed?
A few days, maybe?
I feel like it was almost immediately. Like, soon as Freya was done with the spell, they were freed, and they were running around just gaining their power back up. Like, almost immediately. Like, complete continuation.
'Cause the way that Freya was talking last week, it seemed like that they had been out previously. Because Rebecca was only tied to the voodoo spell, so if they cured that early, she wasn't bit. She didn't have the werewolf venom in her.
No.
If they fixed her, if they figured out a way around her thing, she could have come out, and she could have been out for years.
No, they were all connected in that sleep, in that dimension, because of...
No, I know that, but I'm saying that they could have woke her up a year ago.
No. They were all released at the same time, because you found them all in the same forest eating people.
And, you know, what Elijah said last episode, it seems my siblings couldn't contain their hunger.
Okay.
So...
Yeah, I just thought Rebecca got out earlier, because she seemed in control. It was the rest of them. It was Elijah and Cole that seemed a little out of control.
Well, they ate an entire work gang from a local prison, apparently.
Yeah, the prison's never going to miss that bus.
No,
not going to even question it. Not at all.
No. Their prisoners just went missing. They're running loose through the woods. You know, like, they don't care.
No, not at all. So things we find out this episode. Josh has a boyfriend who is human. Still no word on whether he knows that Josh is a vampire or not.
He's gotta.
I don't know.
I don't know either. The other thing we know is that Josh is now the owner of that bar.
Of the neutral bar, which is cool.
Neutral bar, yes, which is also very cool. And he uses gas leaks, just like Matt Donovan.
As soon as they mentioned gas leak, I threw my hands up and walked out of the room. I had to come back and rewind
the episode. As soon as they mentioned gas leaks, I opened up Notepad, and I'm just like, Josh owns the bar, uses gas leaks. Like, I am remembering this.
I literally threw my arms up and stormed out of the room, went and made dinner, came back, and then rewound it.
Well, like, no. You know what? They gotta carry over some of the storytelling elements from the Vampire Diaries now that it's done. Just saying.
Julie.
God damn it, Julie.
Julie.
She's trolling us.
Subtly. She wrote that line with a very subtle intention of trolling all of us.
Just us.
Oh, no, I mean everybody who watches the show, but yeah.
No.
Julie, I love you and I hate you all at the same time.
But, yeah, first thing, Elijah and Rebecca show up to coerce some information out of Josh, who is very non-stealthily picking up his phone like, I'm just going to text out a wee message to Marcel here, forgetting that, how did he expect that to work?
Josh is still really naive,
And we love
even
him
though
for
he's
it.
been in it for so long now. Like, it doesn't feel that long because we don't realize about we're still not, it's not the 5 year jump is not sinking in yet. It still feels like it's continued on from last season. So he's been in since season 1.
Mhm.
So he's been in this for 8 years apparently. That's how longer than that because there's more time jumps. So like he's been a vampire for 10 years now almost. You think he would have learned something.
I don't feel like he's naive. I think he's just really good at playing dumb.
Probably that.
Because when you see the coded message come in from Marcel, he acted like he didn't know what it was. And he was really good at it until Cole,
I guess.
started yelling at him. And then all of a sudden, he happened to know what it meant. So I just feel like he's really good at playing dumb. Like, really good.
You know what? That does kind of make sense now because I had just recently gone back and watched like the first 5 or 6 episodes of season 1, and Josh plays dumb very well when he's under Klaus's not
Mhm.
his control, but like he's kind of helping him, but kind of not. But he's playing dumb, and yeah. So okay, I get you on that. I get you on that.
Yeah. Speaking of Klaus, he is still there with the dagger in him, which I didn't know he would remain conscious during. We've always seen him get knocked out the last few times.
But we don't know how much of it was actually him dreaming that he was
Yeah.
sitting up talking
Yeah.
to Cammy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was
Can-
all that.
When you saw Elijah and was it
Freya.
Rebecca.
Rebecca?
No, Rebecca was in the
No, it was
graveyard.
Oh, no,
Haley.
Rebecca was
It was-
outside. Yeah,
It was
Haley.
Haley, and it was Freya, and it was Elijah. When you saw them walk in, he was sitting there against the wall, moaning and groaning with
And-
his eyes closed.
After the first time he's conversing with the image of Cammy, it cuts a couple of times to him sitting in that position, and then cuts right back to him sitting up.
Yeah, I think most of it was just, dream state
Mhm.
that we saw. And I mean, there wasn't much it was very smooth transition, so we wouldn't really be able to tell. I think that was done on purpose.
Right. And at one point he says, I'm not gonna take crap from, the ghostly image of the woman I loved who is now dead. And I'm just like, Klaus, she's said it how many times? It's all in your head. This is your own subconscious talking to you. You're taking shit from yourself right now.
She has been his subconscious since season 1.
Yeah, kind of. She's his Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, damn
Yeah,
it, I was
she
just going to
is.
say that.
She is. He hired her, I think.
Yeah.
Episode 3, season 1. He said, "Okay, I'm hiring you."
Where's the dagger currently?
Marcel has it
Does he?
because they tried to get away. They tried to
Stabbed
stab
him
him,
with
and he pulled it
yeah.
out.
They successfully
Okay.
stabbed him with it, but he was...
Yeah.
Because I was like, how cool would it be for Klaus to reject the fact that Cammy's dead, keep the dagger, and keep sticking himself with it just so he could talk to Cammy?
That's
I
kind
mean-
of crazy, but it is crazy enough for Klaus.
I could see Klaus
Just-
doing it.
Yeah, just can't accept that she's gone and needs to talk to her, and we've seen stuff like that in other shows where, especially the Vampire Diaries, with Bonnie and Enzo just cannot let go. So that would be a way for Klaus to keep the connection to Cammy. I'm kind of upset now that Marcel has the dagger. I wish it was in their possession.
Mm-hmm. Because that could be another... Hey, you know what? The season is still young.
Well, of course, yeah.
So also, at the same time they're trying to get to Klaus, Rebecca meets with Marcel in the old graveyard. Tries to
I
talk...
miss that graveyard.
I miss that graveyard too. Tries to talk some kind of logic to him.
Never thought I would utter those words.
You miss that graveyard?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an odd sentence right there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she tries to use the fact that they both once loved each other to maybe release my brother and we'll go away. You'll never have to talk to us anymore. Stuff like that. Then threatens to stab him with a dagger short sword bladed object that cursed her to be a crazy person. To which I brought up in my head, great plan, Rebecca. This almost made you an unstoppable, psychopathic, rampaging monster. Marcel is more powerful than that. Stab him with that, and he'll probably destroy half of North America.
Yeah, but in the point of, when he's destroying, it's also destroying him and killing him at the same time. So, I mean, I don't think she realized how long it would probably take him, because it didn't take long for her to start, being destroyed, like falling apart, her physically starting to die.
And mentally.
So, like, I don't think she realized it would probably take longer for Marcel, and in that time, he'd be able to do a lot more damage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interrupted when Marcel's little lady friend crossbows her in the back a few times. Now, I have a question. Have they ever out loud said her name in the show yet, in the last 2 episodes?
I want to say they have, and I just didn't pay attention because I had no investment in the character
Right,
yet.
I had to look it up. The character's name it's spelled Safia, but is it Sophia, spelled funny?
Maybe.
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably going with that, but I'm thinking about it. I don't think anyone's ever said her name. She's just,
She's just been there.
She's pretty vampire number 87 or something, like, walking in on screen there.
Yeah.
Also, apparently, potential love interest for Marcel.
Potential?
Definite.
Potential.
I'm going with that didn't lead into that.
Yeah, until Marcel gets a little kinky during sexy time and accidentally bites her.
Well, he can cure her.
Can he?
No, he can't.
Oh, right, because,
Klaus's blood that he does not have anymore
I was thinking
does not
of his
even
own
cure
blood.
that. Yeah, no.
His own blood doesn't even cure that.
Yeah.
Nope, they tried that.
Right. Last season.
Yeah, I didn't until I was thinking until he gets kinky during sexy time and he calls her Rebecca, which was where my head was going. And then one of you said bites her, and I was like, oh, my mind was going somewhere else.
I didn't say it. It was him.
It was him.
Vampires.
Vampires, yeah. Speaking of which, Cole just punches a guy's face into meat paste, and I enjoyed that.
Hey, anytime Cole's on screen, I enjoy it.
Cole, stop it. You got him.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Rebecca.
He's going to be an emotional ball of I don't know what for this whole season.
Because of I mean, they touched on it this episode between when Cole and Josh were together, and Josh is like, well, I think Davina would want you to move on. She'd want you to get your shit together. And Cole, it seemed like it was kind of getting through to him, and then by the end of the episode, he's a fucking crazy mess again, and it's just like. Cole is a one-dimensional character right now. When he's a vampire, he's very one-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like. You know what you're going to get with him.
He had so much character development, though, when he was with Davina, when he was just a witch.
But you know what, though? Yeah, he did. But hopefully they'll do more of that, because...
But his character development was still predictable. You knew what you were getting into with him.
Yes, you knew what you were getting into, and... Nikki mentioned that she watched the first 5 episodes of Season 1 again. I watched the first episode of Season 1, and I'll get to why in a minute. And, I noticed something, and this is about, this is Season 2 and 3 Vampire Diaries, and Klaus, before most of the episodes of the originals, he was also kind of one-dimensional. You knew what you were getting. Same exact, side of the coin. And then the originals fleshed him out more, and now more depth. Which I'm hoping they do with Cole.
Yeah. Because they're very similar, Cole and Klaus, as far as, character development. Because we didn't get a lot of Cole. And that's the reason why he's still at the stage he's at.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't had enough time to have him build up his character.
It's not only that, he's been dead for so long. It's not that we haven't had the time. He hasn't had the time to develop and build and change. He's been daggered and dead and... brought back and dealing with tragedies and
I died
getting
twice.
Shoved in a different realm to survive. It's It's a mess. So he hasn't had much time to grow.
No, he hasn't. All kinds of gigantic messes.
And you hear, that's a suicide mission. Why are we to go in? Just leave him. He's the first one willing to leave Klaus.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd totally be behind that. Whatever you want to do, Cole.
Yeah. Leave Klaus because Marcel can kill all of you.
No, because Elijah will go get him anyway. So
there is that.
So you know what? You don't have to go, Cole. You don't have to. It's fine. You can continue to be Cole, and I will enjoy every second of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know Cole. Like I don't know him personally, but I'm saying like I know I feel like I know Cole enough to know what I expect from him, right? And I expect Cole to do what Cole wants to do, and that's kill people and fight for himself.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like every character has to be super depth. I don't feel like we need like surprise, like, oh, we don't know what this character is doing. I think if every character was like that, if every character was a wild card, the show wouldn't be as enjoyable. But to have certain characters where we know where they're going and what to expect from them time after time, it adds to the layer of the show rather to the character.
I just feel like with characters that are going to be around more often, they should have a little bit more going for them.
Right.
I don't know how much Cole's going to be around in the originals this season. Like, I don't know if he's going to be in every episode or every third episode. I don't know how that's going to work.
I was just going to bring that question up. Do we know, like, Claire Holt for the last couple seasons has been, beginning and end of season. Maybe a little glimpse in the middle.
She took a bit of time off for her family, and then while she was waiting for them to write her back in, she took some other roles and stuff like that. And now they got her a place where, she can be back. So I believe she's back on the show.
Okay.
For good now.
Okay. And I'm guessing the same with Nathaniel for Cole.
Yeah, it's because they killed him off on Vampire Diaries, so he went and he did other things. He was he had like a reoccurring role on Pretty Little Liars. He was on the backdoor pilot for Supernatural for the Bloodlines. Like they were still like he still wants to do stuff, and he's still working on it. And then I think he was on an episode of Bones after that.
Yeah.
And then he was on a whole drama called Significant Mother, which, for the record, I only watched the first 2 episodes and they were fantastic.
It was very funny.
Yeah, they were fantastic, but it was only 9 episodes long, and then it got canceled. So he's not doing anything right now. So I have a feeling he's going to stick around.
That's fine. I like him. I like it. So speaking of, Elijah would go get Klaus anyway. And he goes to have a lovely showdown with Marcel. Which, Marcel, you can win the fight in 2 seconds. Just, nick him with one of your teeth.
No, Marcel wants it to drag out. He wants the entertainment, because how else is he going to get it? Because he can just win it in 2 seconds.
I mean, he just went over all the reasons why he needs Klaus alive last episode. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't want to kill him, but now my question is Marcel going to hide the fact that Klaus is missing after telling them to never return, right? He could play off that he's still got Klaus where he wants him. Or, is this going to come out and come back to bite him in the ass where they're saying, we trusted you, you told us to trust you, and you didn't live up to your end of the bargain, and that's going to cause problems for Marcel.
That's going to come up and bite him in the
Or
ass.
is it going to go back both ways?
And now... Go ahead, Nikki.
No, I feel like, Marcel's going to be begging them to come back because of all the witchy business that's happening. We don't know what it is, but I know the originals are tied to it because of Hope.
Right, and that's going to have them coming back to figure it out. Now, we mentioned season 1. Nikki brought up a really good point to me because she watched this. She watched the episode of the originals how many days ago, and I just watched it tonight. But she said the other day she's like, I see a lot of parallels to season 1. You'll see what I'm talking about when you watch it. So I watched the episode. I was like, holy shit. So I watched the very first episode of the originals again, and there are a lot of parallels. Like, the story, is very loosely in the same place. Marcel's in charge, he actually says this in the very first episode, the blood keeps flowing and the party never stops. That's kind of what's going on. Mm-hmm. You obey his rules, great. You break his rules, you die. That's the same thing. There's some spooky witchy business going on that's fucking things up for the vampires. Same thing in season 1. And Marcel, telling people to trust him and dropping the ball fucked him over in season 1. And now it's going to fuck him over again.
Mm-hmm. So you're talking about Cole needing some character depth. Marcel doesn't even learn from his mistakes.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't even think of that one. You're right. It's like 5 years later. It's like instant rewind. And Klaus is out of the picture in season 1.
Technically, it would be 7 years,
Yeah.
not 5.
Klaus is sort of out of the picture, and now he's coming back. So, yeah, you're right. 7 years later. 8 years later. Some amount of time later.
There was, it's
Bigger.
gotta be 8 or more years later.
So I'm very happy with where Cole is right now.
Right. But yeah,
He's not repeating his same doomed mistakes over and over again.
And that just struck me
He's
as
making all
really-
new ones.
Nikki pointed that out, and it struck me as really interesting. And I was like, okay, now I got to go watch through it. I didn't go as crazy as her, mostly because I didn't have the time.
What if we find out that this is related to Davina?
I did bring that up too.
She brought that up yesterday.
Yeah.
She said, I'm thinking that the big scary thing is related to Davina. And I'm like, okay, spoiler much, but we, going into this episode with Vincent tracking down Adam, I think the kid's name was. Yeah, Adam.
Yes.
And he gets, thrown around the house and encounters a spooky ball of light. Like, woo. Spooky ball of light that is warded away by a protection charm that Adam's mom gave him. Mm-hmm. And at which point he's like, what the hell am I dealing with? A charm carved with a mother's love to protect her child is the only thing that's going to protect me from this? What the hell? And he's like, and then he sees the symbol appear on the wall and he gets all freaked out. And then he digs up he breaks open a safe with his blood magic or something and pulls out a book with the symbol on it. While calling
Marcel.
While calling Marcel and saying, hey, there's some really spooky witch shit going on. It's probably going to level the city. And it's kind of my fault.
It might be my fault.
It might be my fault. And then, it's just like, cut to black.
Yeah. What'd you do, Vincent?
It's like,
Vincent.
Leave me with that kind of a...
Whatever happened to that crystal that had Finn in it?
Freya has it.
Freya has it.
But Finn is dead.
Yeah.
Because she brought him out of that crystal.
Right.
And he died. Again.
So
yeah,
what
I was
the
crystal
thinking
itself.
That Davina herself is the light. And it's not... You know how, spirits are. You can ward them. Even if they're good, you can ward them off. You can deter them with a sigil or whatever. So it doesn't mean that the ball of light is a bad thing. It could be a precursor to the bad thing, meaning it's collecting whatever is coming in its vicinity to protect it. Like protecting future generations like Adam of witches. So it's taking it's taking these individuals to protect them from the big bad coming. So it could be Davina, or it could in fact be collecting these individuals to power itself up so that it can come out as the big bad.
Now, we didn't see the white light last episode, did we?
No, we just saw the wavy effect on the wall it created, with Adam.
This episode we did.
This episode we just saw a ball of light.
So what if it's not the same thing?
Making the same wavy effect on the walls?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you the same wavy effect.
If they're both witch spirits, they could create the same wavy effect.
That's
that doesn't mean that they're both
two different
the
things.
same witch spirit.
Well,
I mean, you saw with Adam, you saw his face, you saw the light just burn up and him screaming. Whereas with Vincent, you saw the light get brighter and brighter and brighter, but then it got snuffed out because he held up the charm. So we didn't get to that point where it was so bright, where things just went crazy. So I don't know. It's so hard to tell right now because it's so freaking vague and mysterious. It's just a spiritual essence, and we don't know what the hell it is.
Papa Tunde.
Oh, fuck that.
Get out of here, Tunde.
He's not going to stop at a knife. He's going to make a full-on fucking sword this time.
He's gonna make a pole arm.
So, I looked up last week. The symbol is the Ouroboros, and it's a Viking symbol. Actually, it's a lot of symbols, similar, but there's what was the world-devouring worm in Norse mythology? But the Mikealsons are Norse and all that stuff. But it's the endless cycle of life and death. The continuing circle and all that stuff. The endless repeating cycle. What did we just talk about? This is season 4, repeating season 1, kind of thematically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, anyone else think that's a coincidence, or they're pulling some kind of meta level shit here?
No, I'm not gonna. It's Julie Plec. She does meta all the time. Just saying. So I mean, I can get on board with that. It's kind of like a rebirth of the series, kind of. Especially with Hope being involved now, and being that she's an older actress, obviously, because there's been that time jump. She's obviously going to be more involved because of her powers.
From what I'm looking at in witchcraft, the Ouroboros, the very first known appearance was from ancient Egypt. It appeared in the enigmatic, thank you, Book of the Netherworld.
I mean, that would make sense too, because we just finished dealing with what we were dealing with on the Vampire Diaries when they wrapped everything up.
Yeah.
If I remember my
2-part funerary text uncovered the tomb of Tutankhamun, and it represents the beginning and the end of time.
It's basically the same concept as the Ouroboros in Norse mythology.
If I remember correctly, my Egyptian mythology, Ra sailed his light barge across the sky, the sun, every day to ward off the world-devouring serpent, which was to the Egyptians the horizon, for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it has I don't know why I didn't think. I remember reading this however the fuck long ago.
The world is flat, boys and girls.
It was also described by Plato and used. Alchemists used it as a sigil. So. And there's also another variation of it where it is the snake eating itself, but it's in the infinity symbol.
Yeah, there's a lot of different versions of it.
The concept of the symbol is that it's a recycle, basically. There's a beginning and an end, and it just keeps going and going and going.
The concept of infinity, which has been around for as long as we were capable of higher thought.
Yeah. So, I mean, I want to think it's more on the Norse side of mythology because of the Mikealsons instead of Egyptian, even though that's where it was first derived from that we know of.
It's got to be something like that. So is there anything really quick to talk about this episode before I read the synopsis for next week?
No.
Oh, God.
Okay. So next week, we can come back to it if you guys think of anything. Next week is called Haunter of Runes. And... wait, I forgot to mention. This episode, Klaus sees his daughter for the first time in 5 years.
That was...
Do you want me to wake her? No, let her sleep. It's
that was adorable. Just saying, right then and there, you saw the growth in Klaus, because when he finds out about Hope in the very first season, he gives no shits. He's like, let Haley die, let the kid die.
See what I care.
Yep, he did not care whatsoever, and this is just that's it's a parallel, but it's not at the same time. Finding out about his daughter, and not having nothing, not wanting to have anything to do with her, and now just being completely entranced by her presence is just it's.
I know, it's a big moment.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next week's episode is called Haunter of Runes. After 5 long years apart, Klaus attempts to reconnect with his daughter, Hope. Even as father and daughter bond, the rest of the family is still in turmoil. Elijah mediates a conflict between Haley and Freya to determine the best way to protect the family. Meanwhile, in New Orleans, Vincent tells Marcel terrible secrets about his ex-wife, Eva Sinclair. For Forgot about her. Even as they begin their search for a mysterious witch who plans to sacrifice a group of innocent children, including Hope Mikealson.
This is the harvest all over again.
I was just going to say, that seems like the harvest from season 1.
God damn it.
Okay. I'm done with this.
And that's why Adam's gone and all the other kids that were in that house. Fucking harvest all over
when
again.
You're talking about, this might be safeguarding the kids and everything, I'm thinking about the promo I saw for next week, like the short little coming soon thing, and I see a bunch of, zombie kids with glowing blue eyes just turning slowly to the camera in unison, and I'm like, yeah, that's not keeping them safe. Like, this is, some kind of Children of the Corn shit going on here. There's...
And
I feel like it's similar, but it may be for course correction because the other side, and then the trial never went through, and all that. Like this may be the repercussions of that. So many years later, because it's the next generation, almost 7 years later.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good point. It would be.
Yeah.
The repercussions, some kind of who the fuck knows.
Oh, we're going back to a big witchy bad. So.
I almost said cosmic consequences, but then I'm like, no, you idiot, that's supernatural. Wrong show.
Well, I mean, it's kind of cosmic. It's going to affect the whole world.
Yeah, it's going to affect what we see next week on the Vampire. Oh, never mind.
Anyway, I think that's our show, which, again, Originals is becoming my favorite show of the year.
Even recycling. Even recycling. It's still fresh.
But you know what? It's just thematic recycling,
Right.
And
right.
For whatever reason, that has got me even more interested in the show than, like, oh my god, it's the same shit all over again as season 1. Can't you get an original thought in your head, Julie? Gah.
I mean, the show is called The Originals.
Haha.
Yeah.
I'll be here all night.
No, you won't.
Yeah.
No,
go ahead.
The Originals is always.
Just leave the stream running all night, Mike. I'll just be here.
I was just gonna be on his. I'll be here all night. I was just gonna go straight into outro, but continue.
No, I forgot how much I enjoyed the Originals when it first started, and going back and making comparisons and just watching for watching. This season, I didn't even go in making mental notes with this episode, and then I had to because I was like, you know what, I want to go back and watch the first episode to see how much it's changed. It has and it hasn't, which is really interesting.
Yep.
So
the actor who plays Marcel got a really great personal trainer in the intervening years.
That's true.
Because the first scene of his in episode 1, I'm like, holy shit, you were a scrawny little fuck, weren't you?
He had a baby face too. He doesn't so much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
that
our
happens,
show. Dom, where can they find you?
Find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM.
Nikki, where can they find you?
Can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
You can find me on Twitter at Thilladren, THILLADREN. You can find all of us on Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, Google+, MySpace, and YouTube at ASOTV Podcast. You can follow us at those places. It's been forever since I screwed that up. For some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, movies, and games. Thank you all for watching. Have a lovely night.
Which I'll be here for all of.
You want to talk about, continuing circle? Remember the very first year we did this and I got tongue-tied doing the outro every fucking show?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what the sigil is. It's all the beginning of the end. Of the end of the beginning.
Yep.
That's the reason for these parallels.